Hello, everybody. Welcome from Nicole and I. It's lovely to have you on the Wisdom of Essential Oils. I'm Leonie Featherstone. Hello, Nicole Farrington.
Hello, Leonie.
How are you today?
It's a great day. It's lovely.
Wonderful. And it's even more wonderful because we're going to be talking about sense of clarity. So, guys, pop in a message. Tell us where you're from. Ask us any questions you like. Nicole is a medium healer, and I'm here as someone who is just very passionate about essential oils. So if you can make the questions around essential oils, and if you have a question for Nicole to make it around a healing issue, that would be really, really good. I'll tell you what else we're going to be doing this morning before I start chatting with Nicole. We're going to be talking about sense of clarity. We're going to be bringing in some of our own wisdom. We're going to be bringing in the wisdom of the oils. We're going to be sharing practical suggestions for how you can gain a sense of clarity in your life. So pop in the chat anything that maybe you aren't feeling so clear on, anything that you're feeling a bit confused about, and maybe we can bring that into the discussion. And the other thing that we'll be doing, I love to draw the oil cards for you, and Nicole loves to share her wisdom. So if you'd like a card from us today, please pop that in the chat. Hi, Kerry. It's Kerry again, Nicole from Brisbane. We love having you on here, Kerry. It's lovely to see you. So the rest of you guys, where are you from? And tell us how your day is starting. Nicole, what does clarity mean to you?
Clarity to me is looking at a situation in its truth. And sometimes that's about stepping back so that you can get a clearer picture, or removing yourself from the situation so that you can get a greater sense of what's really going about. Clarity is just having that it's a peace of mind so that your sight, your vision, your knowing is, it's being truthful. It's not being bombarded by others.
Yeah.
Picture.
I often think I like to have imagery when I'm understanding something, and sometimes when I think about the lack of clarity, which generally is confusion, it's like I don't know if you've ever been driving along a road, in probably southern areas, and then all of a sudden you'll go down a dip and you hit a patch of fog, and it's so disorientating because you're not sure who's in front of you, whether the person behind you can see you, will a kangaroo jump across the road? And it's you feel totally lost, but there's a fear that comes in there with that confusion, isn't there?
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. It is fear-based when you don't have.
And that's where I think that it's so powerful. Hello, Aurora. You would love a card, and you're from beautiful Melbourne. Thank you for the blessings. Oh, and Kerry would love a card too. So, so maybe have a think about where this confusion or lack of clarity is showing up in your lives, and have a chat to us about it. Hi, Rebel. You're from Brisbane. Oh, we've got all the Brizzy girls on today, and our Melbourneian. And, of course, Nicole's in the beautiful Yeppoon, which is on the coast just out of Rocky, and I'm in the Pioneer Valley outside of Mackay. So we're kind of central Queensland gals, but love how we can just touch all of each other's lives on this medium. And thank you so much to the Spiritual Events Directory, Sarah Watkins, for giving us this opportunity to share. And Margaret's here too. Hi, Margaret from Canberra. Well, why don't we kick it off with a card? But I always love to pull a card for the collective, Nicole. So the one I've actually picked, and it's quite interesting when we're talking about having a sense of clarity and how that often comes from confusion or, a bit of foggy mental fog, could be spiritual fog, could be, a physical fog. And the card I've drawn for the oil is black pepper. Have you used black pepper, Nicole?
I haven't actually. I haven't.
It's awesome to add into your cooking. I love to pop it into dips. It really just brings that, that tangy, peppery taste to the dips. But black pepper is all about letting go of judgments of others. It's probably also about letting go of blaming other people. So it's about taking responsibility for ourselves and being authentic, of living with integrity. It's also about peeling back the layers. It's a little bit like unmasking. So this is probably like removing some of that fog. So unmasking. Sometimes we've been told things in our life that are true or false, or maybe belief systems or whatever. So it's about peeling back the layers, unmasking, and really getting to the truth. not judging ourselves, not judging others, not blaming others, not blaming ourselves, just getting to the real truth of the matter. And so the centering thought for us today is, I live in integrity, I stand for truth. I embrace all aspects of myself and love who I am. And the question we can all ask ourselves, guys, is why is it so easy for me to live in integrity? How does that resonate with you, Nicole?
That's a very heartfelt. You can feel your chest opening up when you, with what you were saying. It's very, it's always so spot on. I think when you draw the card collective, it's really gives us that base ground to build from.
Yes, yes. Now we're talking about the wisdom of essential oils as well as the wisdom that Nicole can impart. And I'm not sure if those of you on today, hi Holly, hi Nikki, hi Deborah, understand why we're combining the oils. I can't even speak this morning. There's no clarity with my communication. This is going to be really fun. But when you think about essential oils, they are the gifts of the earth, and so it makes sense that they resonate with us because we too are a gift. We're nature working with nature, so that's one thing. But also when we want to rid ourselves of confusion, sometimes when we're in pain, it's really hard to think clearly. So when we can bring in the soothing qualities of our essential oils to help us on a physical level, we can gain more ability to think clearly. When we are hurting, when our heart is sore, when we are emotionally confused and we do not have clarity in our heart, it's really hard to think clearly about what our life's purpose will be. And that's when our beautiful oils can come in and help with emotional heart healing. They can help us to let go of limiting beliefs that are causing confusion and maybe stopping us from clearly seeing where it is that we could blossom to. And so this is why we love bringing in the essential oils. And Nicole, I know that in your work you use the essential oils. What's been one you've been using a lot lately?
One that has come up a little bit is Litsia.
Oh yes, Litsi.
Which is one that it kind of brings a lightness, but it gives a flourishing thing is what it feels like. It's just people have been quite overwhelmed with everything and almost too rooted in old ways that they just need a little bit of a light. It's like it's a breath, I suppose. Yeah. A flowery breath is what it feels like, and it just lightens everything, and that enables the next process to start folding out for them.
Yeah. I love Litsi. It's fresh. I don't know why I'm reaching for it because you can't smell it, but maybe I can just pass it on. But it's almost like that. As you said, it's a breath of fresh air, and it's like, leading us to possibilities. So it's a great oil to use if you're manifesting. So Litsi, definitely. So let's start with these beautiful ladies that have joined us. I'm not sure if we have any gentlemen on here today, but Kerry Addison, you are first off the rank. So Nicole, would you like me to pull a card for Kerry and then you chime in? Would that be?
Yeah, that okay.
Yeah. And then those of you who'd like a card, if you'd like to be a little specific about the healing nature that you would like some support with, that will really help Nicole. Kerry, yes, I said Kerry first. Helichrysum. Now, helichrysum came up last week, I'm pretty sure as well. But helichrysum is an oil that you'll often find being used to support us when we're in pain. So in our ice blue rub, which is amazing for sports people or anyone who's heard a few muscles, it helps with the pain, but it's also very regenerative. And so it's about helping us to release any form. I'm not sure what's going on, Kerry, whether you're feeling a little bit of anguish, whether you're feeling some pain, maybe something has happened in your life or someone's done something that you're feeling quite hurt about. And this is going to give you the power to overcome. It's like seeing that pain as not something that has control over you, that you have choice and you can overcome. So your centering thought, Kerry, is I'm strong and courageous and have the ability to overcome all that life throws at me. I believe in the power to heal. I am a powerful creator. And the question to ask yourself, Kerry, is why am I so courageous? Nicole.
Okay. I feel a lot of anxiety. It's very hard for Kerry to take a breath. So I would encourage her to be quite focused on her breathing and make sure they're deep breaths. And even if it can only be one at a time, just to release that tension, that anxiety within her lungs, and up through her heart center. There's a bit of fear-based and hurt there. So it's just releasing that, but the breath will ease that for her. And once she can concentrate on her breaths and taking the deep breaths, it will just kind of open up her chest region so that she's able to breathe and not feel as anxious as she does now.
Yeah, lovely. Just an oil that I just thought for you too, Kerry, you might want to, I'm not sure if you have our oils. And on that note, guys, all respect to whatever oils you're using. We're talking specifically about doTERRA essential oils, and they're the ones I chose to partner with for many reasons. I love the company, the owners, the integrity behind it, the way that we support the growers. A lot of our growers come from third world countries, so we're very much about empowering them. And every time we open a bottle of oil here, we're actually helping people on the other side of the bottle, whether it's, we help build schools, we help put in water systems, etc. So I love all that, the humanitarian goodness around the oils. And I really believe that when you have love and integrity going into creating a company or into a product, it comes out the other end. So you can be sure that when you're using our oils, you're going to be having beautiful intent behind all of those oils that will help you to fulfill whatever you're using that oil for. But the one that I was just thinking about for you, Kerry, is our respiratory blend, Easy Air, because as much as it's there to help us when we are compromised physically, it's wonderful when we are emotionally constricted for whatever reason. And if you're having trouble taking that breath, it can actually help to open up and to release whatever it is that's kind of suffocating you at the time and not allowing that breath in. And it's quite interesting because in Easy Air, there are oils such as tea tree and lemon. And Nicole and I are smiling because Nicole's actually come up with this amazing blend for today. Normally I do it, and she's stepped up to the plate and created this amazing blend, and it has tea tree in it. And tea tree, I just want to touch on this, Kerry. Tea tree is wonderful in light of the card that we drew for you, because if you have had someone who maybe has hurt you or overstepped the boundaries, tea tree is very much about creating the energetic boundary that you want for you. And we'll talk more about it later. And on that note, Nicole and I love people, and we love creating strong relationships. And sometimes we feel like we shortchange you on here, don't we, Nicole? Because we can't get deep and personal with you. So what we want to offer you is, if you want to know more, feel free to reach out to both of us, and I will try and post again. I put up some of our links, but I see it didn't go through, but I'll go into the chat and pop those links later. But reach out, because I offer free early explorations, sensational explorations, I like to call them, because it's all about the senses. And Nicole has offerings as well, which she will tell you, because that way then we can ask the questions and get deep and personal with you and come up with more tailor-made strategies for you. And then if you need the oils, well, we can get you those at the best possible price as well. So Easy Air could be a good one for you, Kerry, as well. So we might move on to the lovely Aurora. I love that name. So gorgeous. Love to meet you, Aurora. Okay, so Aurora is in Melbourne. And, okay. So it's quite interesting because I just actually mentioned this blend. So you have, I have selected on your behalf, Aurora, our blend, which is the ice blue blend, and that's a beautiful mixture. It has wintergreen and it has helichrysum in it, and it has peppermint, and they're all oils that help with circulation and flow and easing of discomfort. And so sometimes when we have pain in our lives, we see it as a negative thing, whereas sometimes pain or anguish or some sort of struggle turns up in our life as a teacher. And I think when we see these things as our teacher, and this is what this blend is helping us to do, is to let go of the fear of pain and see the messages that it can bring to us. So having courage to face it, and to be reassured that there is a lesson there for us. And when we act on that lesson, we can bring about amazing change. Just as when I put the beautiful ice blue rub on my shoulders, it lets go of that discomfort, and then I can move on to do the things I want to do. So the centering thought is, I walk through pain with courage and strength to overcome and learn from it. And your question, Aurora, is, why am I so courageous?
There's a lot of self-doubt with Aurora, and it's happening in the solar plexus. So there's a lot of she's looking for who she is, and she's there's an aspect of herself that's trying to hide it because she's frightened of what might come out. But I wanted to just kind of open her shoulders and be happy, let it flow freely, because that will take that anxiety and that unable to almost breathe away. But she needs to take comfort in the fact that she is who she is, and she needs to love and be happy with that.
Beautiful, beautiful. And Aurora has said, I'm just reading the messages, love my essential oils, bring many with me wherever I go every day. I know, right? It's so hard to leave them behind. And it's like, it's like children, it's like you go on an outing and you've got to leave some behind. It's just, c'est impossible. So, Nicole, I'm just going to go through the chat and write down some of the other names, but maybe you could chat to us a little bit about, what do you think causes confusion? Why do you think people aren't just walking around feeling really clear about what they want in life and where they want to go?
It's other people's perceptions. It's other people's judgments. Everybody views a situation differently, and their intent in a situation is different. So when you've got all these differences coming into one moment or one situation, there can be confusion. So what you might be bringing to it, or what you might see or sense, is different to somebody else. So that creates confusion, and that creates doubt within yourself. And that's when you start to question your own beliefs and your own senses, your own wisdom and intuition. So it's just a matter of realizing that everybody's opinions and judgments and views are always going to be different. It's very rare that you'll come into a situation where everybody's wanting to achieve or attain the same goals. And it's understanding that. So as long as you stay within yourself and you have your own intentions and your objectives in place, then you can only bring out the best of that situation. But as long as you realize it's yours, it's nobody else's. And once you can do that, then I think you will have a more opportunity to have a clarity.
Do you know, I see this so often, and guys, I'd love you to pop a note in the chat if you feel this way, but I believe so many of our issues in life come back to our sense of self. And I often wonder if we as the parents, and again, if there's any dads on here, that if we could make a stand to promise that we would work on building the self-belief into our children and teaching them how to really nurture that self-belief. Because so often it comes back to my imagery of being on the road. The one thing that generally keeps you right in fog is this little blinking guidepost. Generally those little reflectors show up, and so you know that you're on the right track. And yet so often, because we have a weakened sense of self, or we are influenced by those perceptions or judgments of others, as you said, we start to go off on these tracks that aren't serving us. So we have to find those guideposts, don't we? Those guideposts.
Absolutely. And it's having the courage and the strength to stick to them, because our path is unique. It is just for us. It's not for others, the same as their path is unique for them. But I suppose it's about keeping your opinions and images almost to yourself, and so that you're not imparting your judgments and opinions on somebody else, because that can alter their effect and their path. So it's understanding how your energy also affects other people. So you want to make sure that your intent is always is honest, and it has integrity. But that person who's receiving it needs to also understand it is just somebody else's opinion. It doesn't have to necessarily be brought into their path. It can be knowledge or wisdom or guidance, but that's all it is.
Yes. And I was just thinking that a great oil, and it's funny, it's just been mentioned here, and I'm sorry, I can't remember who just mentioned balance, using balance with their daughter. But when we're sort of so caught up in what other people are saying or doing or suggesting or whatever, I think we need to ground ourselves. And the beautiful balance blend, which has frankincense and hoewood and spruce and blue tansy, it just has all these beautiful oils in it. And again, my gorgeous trees with their roots firmly in the ground. And it's like we need to just ground ourselves and find some practical measures to shut out those other voices and come back to self. And so using the balance oil and maybe just going out barefooted on some grass and really just, I believe nature is what will bring us back to ourselves. And so if you live in the city, get a patch of grass, have a lovely pot plant, something that you can resonate with nature and get those healing vibes so that you can ground yourself and start to really work out who you are and what you want and shut out those voices. So we now have Margaret. Now, Margaret has some pain, and it's around a relationship, I think, from what I have, if I've understood your message. It's Holly uses balance for her young daughter who suffers anxiety. Brilliant. I hope that's working well. I've had some amazing, amazing stories from people who have found balance to be the go-to oil in that situation. So, Margaret, your oil is peppermint. Now, peppermint, we on a physical level, we could sit here for an hour and a half talking about the physical benefits of peppermint. It's wonderful for circulation, for cooling, for energizing and giving you a bit of a pep in your step. On an emotional level, we look at peppermint as being an oil that can help lift us out of where we're at. Sometimes we're in a situation and we just can't deal with it at the moment. So peppermint just helps to lift. So we call it the oil of the buoyant heart. It just lifts us up so we can just breathe for a little while. But Margaret, you do have to go back and deal with what that underlying issue is. And so peppermint is very much about letting go of that feeling of hopelessness. And again, I'm not sure what exactly has happened, but you've given us a little bit of an indication. But, there'll be some sadness. There's probably some heartache there as well. So if you can somehow just let go of that. And it's quite interesting sometimes when we pretend to let go and we get ourselves up there, when we actually come back, it's not quite as strong, that feeling. So peppermint's going to give you that courage to deal with this when the time comes. And your centering thought is, I choose to live a life of joy and optimism. I live my life with ease and grace. And your question, Margaret, is, why is my life so full of joy? Because it can be.
It can be, yes. There's a lot of pain in her lower back and on the base of her spine, and a lot of it's rooted in a bit of fear and survival mode. So I wanted just to kind of be clear about what it is that she's looking for, so that as she's walking forward, that's what is being drawn to her. And it's a matter of letting go so that she can walk forward. And that might ease that pressure, because the pain in her lower back region is actually affecting her gut health. And by just working on that and concentrating, but it's very important for her to understand what it is that she's looking for and what she wants to achieve now, so that she can move forward.
I think another thing, we get so confused. I was thinking about this because I was doing a workshop last night on how to activate your senses to live an inspired life, because it's part of the spiritual discovery journal that I contributed to, and my section is all about activating your senses. And I think our senses are bombarded all of the time. So we're going through life and we're trying to work out, what is my purpose in life? And there's advertising and there's social media and there's, this way of doing things and that way of doing things. And I can't remember the stats, but I know it's thousands of pieces of advertising that we're bombarded with from the day we get up, the moment we get up to when we go to bed. So I think another part of helping to release some of this confusion and to gain clarity is finding a way to activate your senses and come into your sense of self, your own space, to shut that out. And it's a really fun practice. I was sharing with the guys last night, if you're not used to using your senses, because why would you? It's that they've probably shut down because they're bombarded. But in the middle of the night is the best time, and you go to your window, and I'm blessed because I live in the country, and I look up and I look at the stars, and so I'm activating obviously my sense of sight. And then I close my eyes and I smell, and those delightful night aromas. And at the moment we have a bush that's pink and purple flowers. I don't know what it is because I'm not a gardener, but it smells delicious. And you just activate your sense of smell, and it's kind of like when you're focusing on a particular sense, you're kind of shutting everything else out. And then I like to just open my ears and I'm listening, and it's amazing because when it's dark, it's almost like everything sounds louder, and you can hear the little insects, you can hear little possums in the trees and different noises. And it's just so interesting because it takes me to this really peaceful place. So just a little suggestion that you might want to do that, get up in the middle of the night if nature doesn't call you, and actually do that. And if you practice activating your senses, and I'm really happy to take you through that one-on-one, it's definitely a one-on-one exercise with exploring what's going on in your life and how you can use your senses to re-inspire your sense of self. But let's move on because there's a lot of people wanting to hear wisdom today, Nicole. Do you think it's something to do with the time of the year?
I think it's a lot to do with the time of the year. It's a very overwhelming time. I always find the end of the year because there's all these people that are coming together that don't necessarily always gel. So there's a lot of anxiety about what's going to happen, how's the relationships going to be. There's a lot of expectation on people's wants from people. It's just a lot out there at the moment, and it's really, you've just got to. That's when you have to step back a little bit and bring some clarity to the situations and realize, okay, I might be catching up with this member of the family, and no, we don't get on, but you know what? It's one day, we'll be fine. I just have to go into positive, but also just coming back so that you are just enabling yourself to be you. And that's where what you were saying before, activating your other senses, because we only rely on our vision. Our eyes are our main sense that we rely on. And when we take that away, we start to hear things, we start to smell, but we also start to activate our own instincts, our sense. So where we sense a situation isn't right for us, or we sense it is right, or it feels good, because at the moment we don't kind of trust those ones. We go, oh, don't be silly. Well, that's not right. And we override them. So by activating the senses, and maybe that is where the oils can come in, because it can just override the vision of what you're seeing, because you see it and you go, look, that looks fine, but your sense is saying, oh, I don't know about this. So it's just trusting yourself a lot more, but the oils would bring in just another equation in, because you're not just focusing on one sense. You've got now two senses to take into consideration. More chance that you'll start to listen to yourself.
That's right. That's right. And trust. And then that builds your sense of self-worth because you're starting to value yourself. You value yourself. I just drew a card for Holly. And then this is really interesting, Holly, because your oil is balance. And I think you're already using this. It's the grounding blend that I spoke about before. And, so often we're confused, we're worried, we're anxious, we're thinking about all these things that might happen, and we're just so far, we're getting more and more off the track. And so what this is suggesting for you, Holly, and you've got it, so let's get it out and use it more. This is about, just grounding yourself and feeling stable, feeling that you have got it under control, that you have the ability to have it within your control. And your centering thought is, I create balance and stability in my life with strength and focus. And your question is, why is it so easy for me to create stability and commitment?
There's a lot of anxiety and uncertainty that's rolling around in Holly's stomach region, which is, I think, giving her a bit of reflux as well. So it's really about finding that balance in her life and the joys that she does have, and realizing those aspects are the good things, and not so much spending as much time with the things that aren't as good in her life, or recognizing them so she can put in and place the necessary boundaries around herself so that they don't come as that close.
Yeah, beautiful. We're getting lots of comments. I love this. We've got Casey loves walking on the grass barefooted. Casey, every night I lay on the trampoline and look at the stars and close my eyes and listen to nature. Oh, perfect. I used to love doing that as a kid. My dad was a truck driver and he was away a lot. And when he came home, we'd lie on our lawn, and I lived in the outback, and this little patch of lawn was the only green thing for hundreds of miles. And we'd lie on our backs and look up at the stars, and we'd look for satellites and falling stars. And it's just a magical, magical memory of family connection, nature, exploration, learning, just wonderful. I think more people need to get outside at night. And sadly, in the city, you don't have that, what we have, but I'm sure you can find your own little patch of nature and country somewhere. Okay. Let's do another card, and then we might start talking about your magical blend, Nicole, because I'm sure you all want to know what it is. So we have Deborah. Deborah would like a card, and I'll have to go back. I'm not sure if Deborah's given us any insights into that. Oh, yeah, and Aurora says, oh, I do that. Thanks, Leonie. Love staring at the sky, moon and stars a couple of nights each week, usually between 3 and 4. It's such a special time of the day, night. Okay, so Deborah, your card is cardamom. Now, I have to tell you, one of my favourite ways of using cardamom is I pop it into my cookies with ginger and cacao, and I make it turns out like a spicy chocolate cookie. So I use the oils. Oh, they're just a part of my life. I use them in the kitchen. I use them in the bathroom. I use them on my skin. I use them everywhere. It's just wonderful. So, Deborah, are you feeling a bit frustrated at the moment? Maybe not as patient as you normally are. Cardamom is very much about being objective and looking at things as they are. And it's like, it is what it is. It is what it is. So this is probably about needing to exercise more patience and understanding that things will come into balance at some stage. But your centering thought is, I take my own accountability. I know who I am. I accept the challenges life brings me as lessons for growth and learning. And your question, why is it so easy for me to take my own accountability?
No, that's interesting, because I kind of sense a fair bit of like anger or hostility, and it's kind of sitting right here, and it's almost hard for her to breathe, and it's in the middle of her back as well. So it's understanding that people are able to make their own choices. They have their own free will, and it's understanding that you have no control over that, what they decide to do. It's accepting that, so that you can't understand everything that people decide to do, their actions or their paths that they take, but you have to understand that's their journey. It's not yours. The only thing you have any kind of sense of control over is your own choices. And it is one of those things, as you said, it's just the way it is sometimes. But you have to learn then to look at things perhaps in another perspective, and that way you might get clarity, might come a bit easier for you.
And guys, just remember, if you'd like to take a deep dive, you can contact Nicole and book in for a session, and you can do the same with me. But Nicole, I want to talk about this magical blend of yours.
I know. So, poor Leonie, I just bamboozled her yesterday.
Actually, I love it because, guys, I don't know if many of you are using doTERRA oils at the moment. Maybe just pop a note in the chat. I know some of you already have. But I want to encourage you to just play around and come up with your own magical blends, because it's okay. There's really not, you can't go wrong. It's when you go into that sense of self and trust and just play. And so I was really excited when Nicole said to me, hey, I hope you don't mind, but I've come up with a blend. And I'm like, yes. So hit me with, tell us about your blend, your sense of clarity blend.
Now, ironically, I only have one of these oils, so I don't know what it smells like. But it came to me. So the first one is tea tree, and when I said to Leonie, who is my oil wisdom lady, because I said I don't know really what these do, but this is what I'm getting from it. So to me, tea tree, Leonie said, was a cleansing oil. So it came to me. It's almost like a native Australian native sage. It's a clearing. It's a getting rid of the old, any negative attachments, so that when you do walk forward, you're only walking forward as yourself and with nothing else attached to you. The next one was neroli. Now, taking in mind, I've never smelt these next three, so I don't know what they smell like, but it's something, it's released. So it's releasing those bounds of life that no longer serve you. It's the dogmatic ways, it's the old belief systems that you can't take with you as you walk forward into this next phase of your life. Next was Siberian fir, which is empowerment. And that is empowering you to do those things. It's to leave everything behind so that you can walk forward almost like a blank canvas, and you can then create. The next one was spearmint, which is refreshed, but it's also bringing that breath of fresh air so that you can now create, because you have left everything behind. Now, when I was rattling all these things off to Leonie, I actually had this image that came, and they were very specific, my guides, in making sure that I voiced this. But if you imagine yourself walking forward, and you can do it physically or just mentally, but just picking all those bits that no longer serve you, you know, those old attachments, old relationships, old beliefs that you no longer have, and just walking forward. And as you're walking forward, you can feel lighter, so that now you're free to create the next phase of life, what you're looking for, what you're looking to manifest. And the affirmation that I came up with was, with each breath, I walk forward in my journey, empowered to release the bounds that have contained my spirit, now lightened by my ability to create anew. It all kind of, I'm only going on with what Leonie says, but she says it smells amazing, but it feels like it's a real power. It's really powerful. It's really, but at the same time, I think it's got a lighter sense to it. Is that right? The smell? Yeah. It's kind of subtle. It's just what you need. I just see this flowingness of everything falling away from you.
It's divine. It is really divine. And I wanted to just add a couple of other things there to what you're saying, because I loved your description of those oils. And I think just if I could touch on a couple of other things about them with tea tree, and particularly this came up for someone earlier. But with tea tree, it is very cleansing, and it's also about helping us to set those boundaries, because some people we let come into our own space, and it's not a healthy relationship. So sometimes we've got maybe some parasitic codependency issues going on. And so it's not just about, cleansing and setting a boundary. It's helping us to have some reflection and think, what is it about me? What is it about my belief system that I allow that to happen? So helping us to not just basically get them out of our space, but actually for us to weed out that limiting belief that's allowing that to happen over and over again. With neroli, it is neroli. I've just been in a neroli phase, and this is what you'll find, guys, as you start to build your oil collection. You'll fall in love with one, and then all of a sudden you feel a bit unfaithful, but you'll kind of go on to another one. But this is perfect because the oils can service. It's like, on an emotional level, we might need some balancing, and then it's done its purpose and we move on to another. It doesn't mean we never come back to it, but it's wonderful. It's like having this whole support team living in your little beautiful wooden box of oils. But anyway, so neroli is light. It's light, but it's dusky, and it's just beautiful. But you talked about releasing, but I think this ties together because it's about helping us have a deeper connection with ourselves. So that ties in with what you're saying. We want to really get to know who we are. And then as you said, I love that imagery of just taking bits and just, I've always said it'd be good if we made a plasticine, because then we could pull those lumpy bits off my thighs and put them where they're needed. But anyway, we're going to discard the bits and but then Siberian fir is about wisdom. And sometimes we have taken on board patterns or belief systems from the past, and we need to let them go. And sometimes maybe we have discarded that wisdom and we really should have taken it on. So I love that Siberian fur aspect in there. What was the next one? Spearmint. Yeah, and then spearmint, very much about voice and confidence in ourselves to walk forward and have that voice and have a compelling voice, a lovingly assertive, compelling voice that people will sit up and take notice. So I'm just loving that blend, and I hope you guys do too. And someone mentioned here, I think they really enjoyed what you said. I've lost the chat now, but yeah, I think one of the things, guys, when you take a blend such as Nicole has just created, create a ritual around it and have intentions. So it's not just slap some oils on. Yeah, that's good, and you'll get effect. But when we live our lives intentionally, we become more in touch with ourselves, and we are more aware of the changes, the subtle changes that take place. And when we create that aromatic anchor with that beautiful affirmation, that just amplifies the whole effect.
It does. It allows the shift to take place because you're conscious of it. So it enables you to make the necessary shift for your betterment and able to walk forward then.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yes. Excellent. Well done. Well, look, I know we've got a couple more. Well, we've got a lot of people, and I'm not sure, guys, if we probably won't get through everyone. But we're here every week. Come back, or as I said, connect with us individually, and we can really have a deep dive with you. But we have Miriam. Miriam has asked for a card, and it is Douglas fir. Douglas fir. Now, it's so interesting because we're talking about wisdom, and the fir trees are amazing. I love the story about how a lot of the animals will sleep under the fir tree at night, and it's almost like they are having their daily dose of, energy, wisdom, etc. And so Douglas fir is very much about, maybe letting go of some generational patterns that aren't serving. It's also about, I don't know if you're feeling a bit weighed down at the moment, Miriam. Are you feeling valued? Or maybe you're not feeling so valued. But what this is all about, it's about helping take on the wisdom of the past and blending it with your own wisdom and going forward. So, it's all about growth. And so your centering thought is, I have the courage to be a change maker and chain breaker. I create change within my family. And your question, why is it so easy for my family to heal?
Well, there's a heaviness in Miriam's in her stomach, and it's actually traveling up to the bottom of her skull, and it's a heaviness in life. So a bit of lightness would do her good, because I almost feel she's too grounded, too rooted in her ways. There needs to be a bit of adaptation so that she's able to change and bring some bit more light into her, and that might ease that heaviness that she's feeling.
Beautiful. Wonderful. We have our friend Nikki. Now, Nikki, I'll share some comments. We've gone down too far, but there's a lovely comment there from Nikki for you as well. Nikki, you've got fennel. Fennel is an amazing oil. It's one that actually helps to support our digestive system, and we have an amazing blend. Anyone who has digestive challenges, we have a blend called Digest Zen, and it's the bomb diggity, I can tell you. But fennel, another great oil to add into your kitchen collection for spicing up your food. I've actually put fennel and lime together in my chocolate. So there you go. But fennel is about, again, maybe I'm not sure, Nikki, but letting go of blame, letting go of not feeling so good about yourself. It's all about inner awareness, bringing in that inner awareness and connection to who you really are and who you really desire to be. So basically, like feeling like you're becoming in tune. So your centering thought is, I tune into my body. I connect with my body. listen to it, and honor it. And your question, Nikki, is why is it so easy for me to love and care for my body?
There's a lot still going on in Nikki's stomach and around her hips. They've certainly calmed down, but there's just a small little tweak. But a lot of it stems from her stomach, and that's a process I know with Nikki. But it's just that will enable her once she is able to get that to a level, then everything else should start to settle a little bit more for her and her confidence. And it's just frustration. There's a lot of frustration there.
And it's quite interesting because fennel is perfect for digestive issues.
It's real calming, very good for nausea.
Yeah. So we're going to move on to Rebel. I love that name. Are you a rebel? A rebel rouser? Oh, and this is amazing, this oil. This is so interesting because I've just been doing some studies. You've chosen tangerine. Now, tangerine is a beautiful citrus, as the name suggests. It originated the name comes from Tangiers in Morocco, a country I always wanted to visit. But it's about gladness and creativity and, maybe, Rebel, it's time to bring some spontaneity into your life, or a little bit more spontaneity. But, often when I'm not sure if you're feeling a bit overwhelmed at the moment, or maybe you feel like your creativity has been shut down, this is the oil to bring it. It's just going to put a little bit of a sparkle back into your heart, bring some excitement back in there. Oh, it's really Kim. So it's Rebel Kim. Okay, Kim. She's telling us her name's really Kim. That makes me think maybe you are a rebel. But anyway. So the centering thought for you, Kim, is I am creative. Life is fun. I am open to all possibilities, and life is full of joy. And your question is, why is my life so fun and full of joy?
No, Kim is there's a lot of control. You're trying to control a lot of things and you're not allowing the natural flow of situations and to happen because you're trying to control too much. And it's actually putting a bit of more emphasis on the right side of your body. And you just need to find a balance where you can, for you, feel like you are where you need to be, but not in a controlling way, but allow that process to happen and that flow. And as you say, that spontaneity come in and be flexible. We need a bit more flexibility there.
Great. You happy to do a couple more cards, Nicole?
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. Is everyone having a good time? Let us know. We're getting some comments there. I'm just not multitasking enough, or I'm not so good at multitasking to be able to read all the chat and listen to what you're saying and focus, but we're doing the best we can. So who have we got? Casey. Casey's asked for a card. Casey, you've got grapefruit. So here we go with another citrus. Now, if you think about citrus, they're zesty, they're kind of sparkling, they're uplifting. So I used to love having grapefruit in my water. I particularly loved it. And now I've got on to green mandarin to make my water flavour even better. But grapefruit on an emotional level is very much about honouring the body, Casey. So sometimes when we have a lessened sense of self, we tend to put everyone else first and we tend to neglect. So I'm not sure if that's your case, Casey. Maybe there's been some stuff go on in the past that's battered that a little bit for you. But this is about helping you to see the value of honouring yourself, honouring your body. Sometimes when we don't believe so much in ourselves, we overeat or we don't exercise and we're not doing those sorts of things that we really know are going to help us with our long-term wellness. So your centering thought is, my body is here to sustain me. I support it and nourish it so that I am able to fulfill my purpose. I value my body. And your question, why is it so easy for me to honour and care for my body?
I really like Casey to start trusting herself and her own voice and her wisdom, because at the moment there's a part of her that really wants to come forth, but she's kind of holding it back a little bit because there's some doubt about what she's feeling and what she's sensing. But I want her to understand that those thoughts are her own, and they're not from other people, so they're right for her. So just to trust and just to allow that aspect of herself to come forth, because it will only be the betterment of her life by allowing this shift to take place.
Thanks, Nicole. Nikki, thank you so much. She said, oh my golly, you both always just blow me away with your spot-on wisdoms, love and support. Thank you for your affirmation wisdoms today. Fennel and Digest Zen are the bomb diggity and why I joined doTERRA, lol. Kids Tummy Tamer is always in my pocket. The Kids Tummy Tamer is a blend for digestive issues that's a little bit milder for children. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you. So I wanted, if we could, Nikki has asked, Lawrence wants a card. So let's do one for Lawrence. I'm not sure if Lawrence is right. Wow. Lawrence has Melissa. And Melissa is, it's kind of like the light, Melissa. So I'm not sure if Lawrence is here, but Lawrence, maybe you're feeling a bit lost. Maybe you're feeling there's a lot of darkness on your path. But Melissa is about helping you to see the light within you as well as the light out there. So I guess with this, it's about seeing the light and the possibility in yourself. And your centering thought is, I choose light, I choose peace, I choose love. I bring light to the world. And your question, Lawrence, is why is it so easy for me to see the light within me?
I feel Lawrence is kind of hiding his everything about his physical sense is kind of hunching over and drawing it to the solar plexus region, not even his gut. And it's fear and uncertainty and just not sure of a lot of things. So it's really for him finding out who he is, who he would like to be, or what aspects that he would like to bring into his life so that he can then start to open up and feel more confident and joyful and understand that life is supposed to be simple and joyful and that it's not supposed to be that hard and challenging. So just by opening up and putting into his intentions of the aspect, I think a lot for him would be a bit more air-based, so breaths new, so that he can create what it is that he's trying to get his hands on things, and he's just not sure. So for him to set his intentions and the boundaries and he can then put it together. So it's all coming very fast. There's so much more I could say, but I'll just keep it.
Yeah. Nicole, if people want to, not if, of course they want to, when people want to connect with you for a personalized session, what do they need to do?
They can contact me through the Facebook page, which is N Farrington Medium Healer / and they can, if you're not local to me, I do a 30-minute Zoom call that I think is just $60, and we just go from there. For people that are in my area, I do 1-hour physical appointments where I work on the physical form as well. We have a Christmas special at the moment where it's at $165, so you come for a 1-hour appointment and then you get a gift certificate to give to somebody else. Although I am finding a lot of people at the moment are keeping it for themselves and having the 2 appointments. So wonderful. It's just putting it out there, as ideas.
Yeah. So $60 for half an hour, or $165 basically for 2 hours.
Yeah.
2 separate.
But that's not physical. Yeah. I try to keep things on a where it's financially able. But if there are situations where it's not possible and you are looking for help, then just reach out and we can always work something out.
Yeah, wonderful. I just wanted to say, I think when because so much we talk about confusion, which is why our topic was sense of clarity today. And I think often we've got so much going on in our head. I love getting pen and paper. And some of you know about Ollie the Octopus. Well, this is my brainstorming tool, Ollie the Octopus, beautifully designed by Kathy Shanks of Turtle Creative. But you can actually get these on my website, and they're free. Download them, senseofempowerment.com. But what I would suggest, if you're feeling confused about anything, just put it in the middle. Just go, what's my purpose? And then just brainstorm and fill in those legs, or what's holding me back, and put it in the circle and just get it on paper, because so often it's all floating around here in this really soupy mix, and we can't even think because we're overloaded. getting it out is really helpful. And if you can activate your senses while you're doing that, have some nice music on, have your diffuser going with your oils or oil up, have some nice, a beverage beside you, whatever. Bring in all your senses and note and check in with your senses. How am I feeling about it? I wrote that word down. How do I feel? Or, this is a process I love to take you through. So if anyone wants to do that, message me and we can do a private session on that too.
And that's great. That's great what you're writing it down and how you feel, because it's very important, because when you say it, sometimes you don't grasp how it truly makes you feel, but writing it down, it makes it more solid.
Yeah, I agree. And I was just going to say, I don't actually charge for my services, simply because generally when people do this process, they need essential oils, and that I get paid through people purchasing the essential oils. So if you're interested in either of us working with you one-on-one, please just pop it in the chat and we'll reach out to you. But it's getting late, so let's see if we can. Who have we got next? We've got Di. Di has asked for a card, and I've chosen juniper berry. So we're going to need some really interesting oils today. Juniper berry sometimes we think of as the oil of night, because, Di, I'm not sure, what you're worried about at the moment, but one thing I would probably suggest is to think about, is this worry real? Sometimes we are worried about stuff that hasn't even happened or won't even happen. And I liken it to, maybe remember when you were a little kid and you were scared of the dark and you thought something might have been under the bed. So you worried and worried. But, when your parent came in and turned the lights on, there was nothing under the bed. So that fear was unfounded. And so it's about releasing. It's about releasing those fears. And also, as part of that, knowing you have the courage to face those fears. And as one of my mentors once said, when fear is faced, the death of fear is certain. A bit like the boogeyman under the bed, turn the light on, he's not there. And so your centering thought is, fear no longer has any power over me and my life. I move forward with courage. I am fearless. Di, you are fearless. And your question, why is it so easy for me to let go of fear?
There's a part of Di that's ready to move forward, and it's in like her hip region. It's like her body's a little bit separate. She's walking with her hips forward and the rest of her backwards, because it's kind of the other aspect of her is saying, I'm really not sure about this. So it's just getting her to come together and understand what it is that she truly wants, so that her physical form can almost catch up to where that spiritual, that emotional aspect of her is wanting to go, because at the moment it's all not quite gelling. So she feels a little bit light and fuzzy, and it's just finding that balance. So perhaps that balance blend would be good for her, just to get that clarity, so that she can stand up in a straight physical form, so that she's able to walk forward more peacefully and more harmoniously.
What a great feeling that will be. Nicole, we're nearly out of time, and I wanted to just throw some ideas out to people. If you already have, excuse me, doTERRA essential oils, and you're looking for a bit more clarity on a mental side, lemon is a perfect oil. It just cuts through the fog, and there's lots of research. If you're a researcher, lots of research out there on companies that have done tests on lemon to increase their focus and clarity of their staff in offices and with technology, etc. Think about how lemon, if you've never used lemon, it's fantastic for getting sticky labels off or grime off shower screens. So think about that on a mental aspect. The other one is a blend we have called In Tune, which is our focus blend. And this has been really, really a great hit with people, particularly young children, who are compromised with attention. And there's a beautiful story of Elliot, and he likens the fact that he felt like he had about a foot of fog on his head. And when he started to use this blend, which is lime and sandalwood and other beautiful oils in there that are focused on calming the mind and creating focus, so that one can draw one's attention. So I know adults that use it as well. So there's blends out there that will help with physical clarity, and then there's blends out there such as Clary Sage that will help with our spiritual clarity. There's so many oils. We just don't have time to cover them all. But again, if you'd like to go on a journey with either Nicole or I, pop it in the chat. We've loved this morning, haven't we, Nicole?
Oh, absolutely. If I could just say one more thing, if we can remember that in finding clarity, to breathe, because our breath is the connection between our physical and our spiritual essence. So it finds that right balance. So just make sure everybody's breathing, and that will bring clarity to things for them.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, my friends, we have run out of time and it's time for us to move on. I hope your day, your week ahead is filled with clarity, that you can bring in some oils, activate your senses, bring in some practical strategies to let go of that confusion and bring in clarity so you can be the amazing human beings you're put on this earth to be. So in the meantime, have a beautiful week, and we'll be back here at the same time next week. Won't we, Nicole?
We will. Same time, same bat channel.
Same bat channel. Thanks, guys. Bye.
See you. Bye.